Classic Cadillacs are sometimes referred to as land yachts due to their combination of mass and luxury. The addition of a Wilwood disc brake kit can increase the drivability and confidence when captaining one of your classics through today's roadways. Lift the vehicle according to the manufacturer's recommendations. Remove the lug nuts and lift off the front wheel. Pop off the dust cover and remove the cotter pin so you can remove the spindle castle nut. Carefully slide out the retaining washer and ball bearings. Slide off the outer drum assembly. Remove the O-ring. Take out the cotter pins from the lower two bolts. Remove all four nuts and pop out the bolts. Slide off the drum assembly and hang it to the side with a piece of wire. Clean the spindle and mounting area of any dirt or debris. Remove the steering linkage from the spindle if it hasn't already fallen off, and reconnect the steering linkage using new bolts from your hardware kit. Install one washer and nut to the inboard side of the bolt and tighten to the manufacturer's specs. Install the provided upper bolts and washers. Install one shim and blue Loctite to each bolt. Line up the caliper bracket with the thread inserts facing outward. Tighten up the bracket to the provided torque specs. Install the beveled spacer with the bevel edge facing inward and the flat side out. It's time to build your new patent rotor assembly, starting with the wheel studs. Drive them about halfway down and install red Loctite. Then drive them the rest of the way down. Torque to spec. Install the hat using the provided bolts and applying red Loctite to the threads. Tighten the bolts to spec in a crisscross pattern. Place the rotor over the hat and insert one bolt into each hole. Apply red Loctite to the threads and tighten it down in a crisscross pattern. Pack your new wheel bearings using a liberal amount of disc brake grease. Drop in the inner larger bearing and line up the seal. Tap the seal into place. Drop in that outer bearing and hold it in place using your thumbs. You can now slide the entire assembly onto the spindle. Slide on the bearing retainer washer. Screw on the castle nut. Follow the procedure included with the kit for tightening the spindle castle nut, as you will need to tighten and loosen it a few times to ensure proper bearing tension. Finally, secure the castle nut in place using a new cotter pin, and you can tap on the dust cover. Install the caliper mounting bolts and washers. This kit uses shims to properly align the caliper onto the rotor. Start off using one shim. Test fit the caliper without using any Loctite. This way you can make any necessary adjustments. Once you've properly aligned the caliper using the provided shims, reassemble it this time using Loctite and torque to spec. Install the brake pads through the top of the caliper. Secure the pads using the provided cotter pin and bending the ends to hold it in place. Not seen in this video is the installation of the Wilwood brake line kit or flex lines. You can find instructions on how to properly install the lines included with the kit. Before you take to the streets, make sure to follow the proper brake bleeding and bedding procedure. Instructions are included with your kit.